Would there have been a hierarchy in the factory?
Yeah, well, there was
It's not really a factory, though, is it? It's more.
Yeah, it was a factory. Yeah, it
Was
was.
it a
was.
factory?
It was a former. There were two sites. There was C site and there was the main factory, which was Triplex, their old glass
The glass
factory.
people.
Yeah, and that's what we took over, a lovely Art Deco building. But there was another factory in Willesden itself, down the road.
Yes.
And that's where they used to have the aircraft. They built the Shackleton there, and all sort of parts for the Shackleton. There was an experimental department there, but that was another production line of the Corniche there. That wasn't where the Phantom was in Hythe Road.
So the Phantom was being built there.
Yep.
The Corniche was
and then
Corniche Coupe as well.
Coupe and the convertible, obviously. And
Yeah.
that same model and the long wheelbase was being made at the Willesden factory also.
Okay.
So obviously they got.
So they were all handmade, whereas the Silver Shadows would have been pressed steel.
Yeah, we didn't touch the shadows, but
No,
we made.
but I'm thinking what was going on at
Yeah,
Crewe.
they were standard steel cars.
steel
they call it.
cars, yeah.
But the long wheelbase, don't forget, was an adaptation of the Silver Shadow. There,
The Silver Wraith.
No, Silver Shadow. Yeah, we used to. It was an extended platform by about 4 inches, closed rear light on there, and some luxuries.
Those small windows in
that's
the rear.
it,
Yeah.
So like a micro limousine kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But the first job I did is, as a panel beater, you didn't go straight into the panel shop. That was quite advanced. With the double curvature work, you went to the sheet metal shop, and then they kept an eye on you. And if you were suitable, you would be invited to go and work in the panel shop.
Just a quick aside for a double sheet.
A double curvature.
A double curvature.
So that's the curve. This is a roof liner for an Aston Martin headlining I'm making. So it's shaped that way and that way. Compound curves, people refer to them as.
So you can see the hammer marks on
Yes.
it. So this was a flat piece of metal, obviously.
That's right. So I initially wheeled this, and then I put in the detail in
which
now.
will go through here.
Through the wheeling machine. People call this wrongly the English wheel. If you're in England, it's the wheel. If you're continental, it's the English wheel.
English
Yeah, that's it. So in the flat shop, the sheet metal shop, there were some very, very gifted people that still had been working on aircraft in the Second World War, and luckily I got to work with one of them, very, very talented man called Mick Eady, and he took to me. And there was a route of individuals that were happy to have apprentices with them, because not all of them did. They say, no, we're not having that.
No,
little buggers,
Yeah.
So with Mick,
annoying.
I made Corniche seat bases, and so he taught me detail sheet metal work, fabrication.
And when you say they trained on aircraft, obviously, is that an even higher level than the cars?
Oh my lord, yeah. Well,
Why is that?
Well, it's.
I can imagine. Obviously, you're up in the air, so you want everything
Well,
perfect.
I suppose there's probably speed. There's other stresses. But when I went into the panel shop, there was a man called Arthur Noyes. They called King Arthur, and he was always immaculate with this sort of Ronald Coleman tash.
Was he in a suit and tie? How would people dress?
He was still wearing the everyday tie, and he put his shoes to one side, put his boots on, and he looked immaculate, and his hands were always spotlessly clean. I said, Arthur, how do you stay so clean? And he looked at me and says, I think you're going to get it. And to this day, my hands are always manicured, and it's an in-joke that I don't really do any work.
Is that the key?
Yeah, that's that might be it. But Arthur Noyes, he told me, whenever they showed like dignitaries round, heads of state, all sorts of Princess Anne, always they took him to Arthur because he looked like this archetypal. He looked like an RAF man himself in his lovely brown oval with the Rolls-Royce thing,
So he was head of the panel.
No, they called him King Arthur because of his name, Arthur.
Yeah.
He made rear wings for the Phantoms, and he told me about his time during the war and how he was kept back, and he used to make Spitfire wingtips, and they used to do ghoster shifts through the night, which and they gave him this drink, which I now know was Drinamol, amphetamine, and it's interesting that the panel beaters, wherever there's a union meeting, they were the chippiest of that era, and obviously it's a sort of amphetamine psychosis. They were like quick out the track the whole time. But,
he was working on a Spitfire, so World War II
Yeah,
planes.
World War II.
And obviously they needed as many as possible for the Battle of Britain.
So the Ghoster shifts, they call them, or through the night.
That would be through the night.
Yep.
And would they know they were being given amphetamine, or they were just
no,
given
they
a
kept
drink?
them awake. It kept them awake.
Yeah,
It helped keep them awake. This drink, a sort of a citrus flavoured drink that they gave them. It was Drinamol. It was
Drinamol.
Yeah, Drinamil, I think it's
Drinamil.
called. Yeah. So
is that like a cough mixture or something?
no, well, they carried on doing tests on rats.
did they get addicted to it?
Well, they carried on doing tests on rats after the war with this stuff, and they were attacking each other, these rats. And I guess it was like sort of pet pills, that type of thing. But it did have a...
So by the time you came to working with them...
They're a bit chippy. They were a bit chippy, to say the least. But, so that was after. But he told me how these wheeling machines were made, were used, rather, for the wingtips. And normally we would feed in and shuffle backwards and forwards here. But he said we would stand at the side with a big piece of sort of triangular aluminium like this. And I said to him, one day, will you show me how to make a Spitfire wingtip? Okay, so he did one day, when we got sufficiently ahead with the job, just for a novelty. And it was quite sweet to see that, especially...
But how easily does that move?
Well,
it moves quite easily.
Yeah, it's got a lovely bearing in there.